Good afternoon. Today we're exploring a question that has been haunting world leaders, economics, and environmental activists for decades. Can prosperity and sustainability coexist?
For too long, the world has been told it's a choice: economic growth or environmental protection, progress or preservation, development or nature.
But what if we told you that this is a false dilemma? What if we told you there's a civilization that proved for millennia that the greatest economic prosperity comes not from exploiting nature, but from protecting it?
Today, we take you on a journey from the ancient Sanātana Hindu civilization to modern scientific research, from sustainability to revolutionary. We'll discover why environmental sustainability isn't just good ethics, it's exceptional economics.
So let's begin. The data has shown us that these philosophies are not just philosophies. Recent scientific research has revealed something extraordinary. Countries prioritize environmental sustainability and consistently outperform others in economic prosperity. This isn't a coincidence, it's causation.
Research has shown that improvements in sustainability have directly increased the GDP growth of the country, including, especially when focusing on quality education and renewable energy consumption.
Think about that. Renewable energy doesn't just clean the air, it grows the economy. But there's a darker side to this story. The same research found that when countries sacrifice sustainability for short-term GDP growth, they experience deteriorations in multiple indicators. The price of neglecting nature is paid in economic stagnation.
Now, let's look at the numbers. Costa Rica runs the majority of Costa Rica runs on renewable energy. Between 2010 and 2017, the country has attracted millions of dollars in clean energy investments. The result, forest cover increased from 21% to 54%, and the economy flourished through sustainable tourism and green technology.
Further, Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Denmark don't just have top sustainable rankings, they dominate economic prosperity indexes. Norway's hydropower accounts for 95% of energy production, but in 2025, they have even made a law that all vehicles must be electric. And today the economy is thriving.
Bhutan. This small Himalayan kingdom measures success not by GDP, but gross national happiness. Environmental conservation is one of the 4 pillars of this country. The World Bank confirms that Bhutan has achieved fast economic growth while maintaining 70% forest coverage.
The patterns are unmistakable. Environmental sustainability acts as a catalyst for economic growth, especially in developed economies. But why? What's the mechanism?
To understand the future, we must look to the past. And there's no civilization that understood this better than the ancient Hindu civilization. For centuries, while the Hindu civilization contributed to the most in terms of knowledge, richness, and technology to the world, it did so in the most non-violent way, without exploiting resources or exploiting animals. In fact, in Hinduism, every aspect of life is respected, whether it's plants, animals, anything. So naturally,
we can see how the exploitative policies can deteriorate an economy, and on the other side, how sustainability, protection of nature, and even worshiping nature can promote the economy. This isn't by accident, it is by design. Let us share with you a few economic principles that made this possible. Principles that are founding in Sanātana Hindu Dharma and which the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nityananda Paramashivam, is reviving today.
The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Sri Nityananda Paramashivam, has defined wealth as your ability to intelligently enrich the society in some form by contributing to society Only then you can become wealthy. Not by possessing, it's all about contribution. This fundamental shift in consciousness has created a society where enriching others, contributing to others, is a part of your lifestyle, where protecting the environment isn't just a burden, it's directly related to wealth creation.
The Ishanvasya Upanishad teaches, enjoy but don't possess. What does this mean? Owning resources allows you to take responsibility for them. It allows everyone to enjoy the resources. But the moment that you possess them exclusively, you deprive yourself and collapse into poverty. Think of ancient temple tanks, water systems. Everyone owned them. Everyone benefited. Sustainable infrastructure that served communities for centuries.
An economy that is not exploiting. Listen to this carefully. In the Hindu tradition, doctors weren't paid based on how many people have fallen sick. They were paid based on keeping the whole village healthy. The whole village gave a share from their harvest to the doctor, who ensured that their village stayed healthy. It was a win-win situation. The doctor is able to maintain his economic growth, as well as the community is able to maintain their health.
Can you see the genius? When a doctor's wealth depends on the community health, not individual illness, the incentive structure aligns perfectly with societal well-being. The same principle is applied to education, completely free. Even kings, children couldn't pay for Gurukul education. Food was freely available, not as a charity. It was an economic policy. Because when you invest into human capital, health, education, nutrition, you don't just spend money, you're creating wealth.
And principle number 4, agricultural sustainability, organic farming, vegetarianism, veganism. These were all part of the nonviolent practices of Hinduism. Zero waste policy, aprigraha, living with minimal things, asteya, non-stealing from nature included. This wasn't environmentalism, this was the economic wisdom which has made the Hindu civilization sustainable. Because of sustainable farming, because means sustainable economy.
It wasn't like the economic situation, the environmental situation in the ancient Hindu civilization was so terrific, or I should say so horrific as it was in this day and age. But the economic principles were so ingrained into the society that naturally the environment was prosperous as much as the economy. The environment was protected. There was no exploiting resources. This is how ingrained it was, so that in this day and age we can see that these are solutions for the global challenges that each country is facing. Here's what's remarkable. Kailasa is reviving these exact principles today. For example, among the 17,000 ecosystems of Kailasa across the world, Adi Kailasa Sarvajñapita has ongoing initiatives to restore sustainable Sanātana Hindu agricultural systems. Ancient wisdom meets modern day application equals extraordinary results.
Yes, and in July of 2020, during the global pandemic, when the world was collapsing, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Sri Nityananda Parameshwaram, stood before the world with a message, not just of hope, but of organized action.
The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism had officially initiated 6 global organizations under Kailasa, and one of them is Green Om, a dedicated entity for environmental protection. This is what Swamiji had said with this release. Green Om will work for environmental protection. Let us promote environmental protection values, reach out to all decision makers and the whole world with this environmental protection activities. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism's vision goes deeper. Swamiji says we have no right to eliminate life, to kill animals for any purpose or any reason. No right to kill any life.
Yes, because in Hinduism, nature is worshipped and naturally leads to the protection of nature. This is one of the many dimensions of why Kailasa has implemented so many sustainability practices. In Blue Om, it's dedicated fully to animal rights because planet Earth does not only belong to human beings.
So think about this integrated approach. Red Om, fighting for hunger and poverty. Green Om, environmental protection. Blue Om, for animal rights. yellow Om for providing knowledge in Ayurvedic medical care, white Om for psychological and spiritual healing, and saffron Om for world peace and religious freedom.
This isn't just random, it's systematic thinking. You cannot solve economic problems without solving environmental problems. You cannot protect the environment without addressing human welfare. In this holistic approach, we address everything.
In May 2020, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism warned about environmental damage from oil and gas extraction. Swamiji had said that environmental damage due to oil and gas extraction is too much, with so much of pollution, releasing methane into the atmosphere and abusing Prakriti. This was years before it became a mainstream discourse, where too many people across the world are literally repeating this over and over again without any kind of solution. Now, some might say this is all very inspiring, but what does the real work mean? Can countries actually flourish by prioritizing the environment?
Let's look at the evidence. Climate change in Norway, climate neutral target by 2030, has led Norway to implement new policies. In 20 years, it's 20 years ahead of the European Union, and most of its energy comes from hydropower. By 2025, they have implemented a policy to eliminate all vehicles that run on natural gas, moving towards electric. And the economy, one of the most strong in the world, and one of the highest human development indexes. Sustainability doesn't hurt prosperity, it creates it. Active sustainability.
And let's look at other countries like Costa Rica. This deserves special attention. The country runs on 98% renewable energy. It's reversed deforestation. Forest cover increased from 21% to 54%. Tourism boomed. Green tech investments poured in. The economy diversified and strengthened.
And now let's look at Bhutan. Perhaps the most radical example, measuring gross national happiness instead of GDP, as we mentioned earlier. And it has a policy to have 70% forest coverage. And guess what? The World Bank confirms Bhutan has achieved fast economic growth over 4 decades while improving environmental, social, and governance indicators.
Now you can see that these countries have already set a precedent, as you can say. They have shown that prioritizing environmental policies and protecting the environment will lead to economic prosperity. And Kailasa takes this to the next level. By eliminating violence against animals, by eliminating violence against nature, Kailasa is on the forefront of environmental protection. And we can see in several different ways how this strengthens economy. One, that innovation drives the growth. Green technology creates new industries, creating new jobs and wealth. Resource efficiency reduces costs. Renewable energy, once established, is cheaper than fossil fuels. Resilience prevents collapse. Environmental degradation causes economic crises like droughts, flood, resource scarcity, and prevention is cheaper than disaster management. And finally, with a better quality of life, it attracts the best minds who want to live in a clean, sustainable environment. Brain gain follows green gain.
A study has shown that, which has examined 20 countries, has found that sustainability acts as a catalyst for economic growth, especially in developed nations. In fact, improvements in environmental indicators consistently precede economic booms. This isn't a theory, this is documented evidence.
So here we are at a crossroads. The whole world is waiting to see who is going to give us a solution for the climate change and environmental degradation, for resource depletion and species extinction.
What the world has done so far, whether it's in Costa Rica, Norway, Bhutan, has been exceptional. But Kailasa takes it to the next level, because in Hinduism, nature is meant to be worshipped. Nature is not just something separate from us. The concept of Advaita, oneness, includes nature, so it is a part of us. Naturally, it leads to protection. The world has seen many solutions, but the ancient Hindu wisdom has given the most beneficial, the most lived solution for thousands of years.
Kailasa offers the world a living, breathing, functional model of sustainable prosperity. Kailasa is reviving the original Sanātana Hindu economic principles with free education, free healthcare, free food, not as welfare, but as wealth creation. Because human capital is the highest form of capital.
Organic sustainable farming, gold-backed currency, savings-based economy, zero-waste policies, contribution-based wealth. The entire ecosystem is designed for perpetual prosperity without environmental cost.
And here's what makes Kailasa unique. It's not just a country, it's consciousness. You don't need to live in a specific place. You can be anywhere in the world and become a part of Kailasa. As an e-citizen, as a sannyasi, and as a member of Kailasa as a Sarvajñapita Yajaman or Karta.
What does this mean? If you join as an e-citizen through Kailasa, you can enjoy Kailasa virtually from wherever you are. The principles, the policies, the ecosystem you can create in your own region, in your own locale. There are over 16,000 Kailasa ecosystems across the globe, which you can also be a part of and enjoy all the benefits, including global services, initiatives, free programs, classes, over 1,300 books, 300,000 hours of discourses are all freely available to you, which you can use to implement the Hindu knowledge in your own life.
If you feel deeply that these policies can impact the world, and Kailasa is already a sustainable model for each of these policies being functional, you can contribute your time, treasure, or talent and become a part of a network that's rebuilding the ancient Sanātana Hindu civilization. For those of you who are ready to dedicate your life, you can join Sovereign Order of Kailasa's Order of Sannyasis. This is an exceptional life, an ancient lifestyle of zero exploitation, dedicating yourself to serving the world, protecting the environment, and experiencing the ultimate freedom. Freedom from destructive patterns and that cause self-harm and harm to nature.
And lastly, you can also become a Sarvajñapita Yajaman, becoming a pillar for Kailasa, for the expansion of Kailasa, and for spreading the knowledge revived by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism through Kailasa. The Sarvajñapita Yajamans are the founding members of Kailasa who are supporting economically Kailasa's policies and Kailasa's programs, initiatives across the globe in all 16,000 ecosystems. It's only through their contributions that Kailasa is able to implement such powerful innovation and technology in initiatives across so many ecosystems, benefiting so many people. If you feel compelled by this, if you feel that this is something that you want to be a part of, you are welcome to visit the link in the description and learn more about Kailasa and how to become a part, whether it's through your time, talent, or treasure.
And not only that, we can also say that Kailasa, becoming a part of the Sarvajñapita Yajamans of Kailasa, also means you are blessed to be a force behind the circular dharmic economy that Swamiji is reinstilling on planet Earth. Countries across the world have economies that literally are devalued. The currency is in a despicable state. Only the economy that Swamiji is reviving is a virtuous cycle where wealth, as it's contributed to society, contributed for the government's actions and services, it then allows an influx of wealth to continuously shower. We've seen this in practical application. We've seen how a beautiful cycle of wealth is created. This is a cycle of creation which you can become a force behind. You can literally have access to the science of completion of wealth, and you can become a part of being a channel for pure sattvic wealth to flow in our economy. Kailasa offers an alternative to all of the solutions that the world has come up with so far, whether it is for the economic crises that we are seeing across the world or for the global environmental challenges. It has been proven for centuries, and today it is validated by the data.
So today we've seen something profound. We've seen that environmental sustainability and economic prosperity aren't enemies, they are partners. We've seen that the ancient Sanātana Hindu civilization knew this truth and lived it successfully for millennia. We've seen that the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Sri Nityananda Parameshwaram's vision is organized, systematic, and through global services like the Green Ohm and other revolutionary organizations, that Kailasa has been able to implement sustainable policies across the board. We've seen that scientific proof from peer-reviewed studies show that renewable energy does in fact boost the economy, and we've seen real-world examples of this. The question isn't whether sustainable prosperity is possible. The question is, will you be a part of it to make it happen?
Kailasa isn't waiting for governments to change policies. Kailasa is building the alternative right now and offering a way for each nation across the world to enhance its policies through the policies of Sanātana Hindu Dharma.
And for each one of you to become a part as an e-citizen, as a sannyasi, as a Sarvajñapita Yajaman. So the invitation is open, the path is clear, and the future is sustainable. Visit kailasa.org. You can learn more and become a part, join, contribute, because the world doesn't need more talk about sustainability. The world needs more people living it.
And that starts with you. This has been Kailasa News segment on Hindu economy. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.